contacted people who have engaged in those sorts of pickets against the Church of Scientology. The fact of the matter is, though, and you yourself were telling me this, that A, the ordinance is something that's very common across the United States. It exists all over the state of California. And on top of that, it's my understanding that the county is interested in it for reasons, numerous reasons beyond anything just having to do with Golden Era Productions and the Church of Scientology, or even Anonymous. That there's other instances where it comes into play, or I imagine that the county would have similar reasoning to have such an ordinance as the dozens of cities across the U.S. and counties across the U.S. that have the same kind of ordinance, an ordinance that's gone before the U.S. Supreme Court. So. Okay. You know, it seems like a pretty obvious thing.
Now, there was this recent visit to Golden Era Productions during the last protest just last week. You probably have known by now we did raise our mast camera. You know, it's that large mast on top of the van as part of our live truck. And we have a camera that's called Eagle Eye Cam. And our Eagle Eye Cam spotted what looks to be in the hills up above Golden Era, a camouflaged observation post in the hills with some sort of telescopic vision. Why is a camouflaged observation post needed in the hills above Golden Era?
Well, yeah, that's no secret. Those are digital cameras, and they're used to be able to sweep the entire property for security purposes. I mean, you're talking a $150 million audiovisual production facility with recording studios, 9 editing bays, a full sound stage, all of the equipment, and so on and so forth. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you want to. You have everything from bobcats to all kinds of wild animals that are up there, and certainly, while that's private property, you wouldn't want anybody, because it would take a bit for a person to get up there. You wouldn't want anybody to be able to easily find and dismantle a piece of security equipment that's used to keep the security in for, a large film studio. But there's nothing secretive about that. I mean, obviously you were able to see it. I mean, if there was anything secretive about it, then you wouldn't have seen it. Yeah.
It took a good zoom lens.
Yeah, no problem.
One other thing, and it's the video.
I don't know if someone's trying to give you the idea that that's some sort of secret or there's something nefarious about it.
No, I'm just curious about it because it's a camouflage observation post with telescopic lens. It's not something you see everywhere.
Sure, no problem. Yeah, I mean, you also wouldn't want to mar the landscape of a hillside either. But it's no secret. I mean, people literally march up the side of the hill to engage in the maintenance of it, ensure the equipment continues to be well maintained, and so on and so forth. The main point is we have a multi-million-dollar audiovisual production facility
that needs to be protected.
That needs to be protected in terms of the value of the equipment and so on and so forth, and that's the only reason for that.
And
it's a 700-acre piece of property too, so it takes a bit of height to be able to view all of it.
Now this confrontation, if you will, at least the controversy obviously waged on the internet quite a bit in many forms. One of the forms, of course, is YouTube video.
Sure.
And one of the videos, we have edited out some parts, but there are some parts here that I just wanted to get your reaction to it and tell me what happened here.
No problem. I've seen it before.
Okay. Now, Kathy Frazier in the Los Angeles Times, January 10th, said that security guard was bitten. Tell me what happened with the security guard. Was he bitten?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, when was he bitten?
In that incident.
Was he bitten before or after, was he bitten as he was being taken into custody, or when exactly in the timeline was he bitten?
When he was making a citizen's arrest of that individual that you saw there on the ground.
Was it while he was on the ground, or do you know?
I don't know at what point, but it's a subject of, obviously, that individual who was arrested has been charged and is being arraigned, so that would be a matter for a court of law. I wouldn't comment on it just by reason of the fact that it's in the hands of law enforcement now, which is rightly where it should be.
One of the
key point here that you have to understand on that is that you have a security guard sitting in his vehicle who was approached from behind. That's not shown in the video. That security guard stated to the individual, "You're trespassing, you need to leave. You're trespassing, you need to leave." At which point another security guard who'd been alerted at that point approached and said, "You're trespassing," and they proceeded to engage in a citizen's arrest. That video starts later in the incident. You know, the individual had already gone on to private property, had been told he was on private property, had been told he was trespassing, had been told to please leave, at which point he refused to leave, and then the second security guard arrived, and then what you saw there was the citizen's arrest.
So why not just call the sheriff's department? At most, it's misdemeanor trespassing. Why not just call the sheriff's department? They arrived just a minute later or so.
Sure.
Why tackle them down?
To my knowledge, they had already been called, and what we've run into with that specific individual, the group, and Anonymous, and these individuals who claim to be part of Anonymous. You have to understand, too, you're dealing with an organization and individuals who have stated they're part of an organization that is and has been engaged in terrorist threats and terrorist attacks against the Church of Scientology, attacks which have them under 2 separate federal investigations and multiple local law enforcement investigations. The New York Police Department's Hate Crimes Unit refers to Anonymous as a shadowy internet group and have already arrested 2 of their members for hate crimes against the church for desecrating the Church of Scientology. Criminal harassment, these kinds of things, aggravated assault. So, excuse me, not aggravated assault, but criminal harassment and, you know, these kinds of things. And so when you have individuals that are stating they're part of a group that has already stated its intent is to destroy the Church of Scientology and that engages in hate crimes against the Church of Scientology, and a member, professed member of that group is trespassing on your property, and other members of that group have continually engaged in trespassing, then when law enforcement arrives, they step off the property, so it's not witnessed by the law enforcement. You know, you run into these kinds of situations. The fact of the matter is that we're in the position of having to take adequate measures to protect our parishioners, our staff, our property against a group that has stated its intent is to destroy the church by physical means, including, you know, fake anthrax threats, bomb threats, threats of violence, death threats, kidnapping threats, vandalism. Our churches have been shot at and vandalized in the name of Anonymous, and these kinds of things. So when you're dealing with that kind of things of that serious of a nature, you have to take the appropriate measures. You have to take the appropriate action to deal with that. And you're going to be at a heightened state of alert for that reason. So when you have someone who's a member of that group trespassing on your property and he won't leave, obviously there's a reason you have citizen's arrest.
But why did the guard, in that video at least, appear to shove the middle-aged woman who was getting a camera that was on the ground, shove her against the car? Why was that justified? Why was it necessary?
You know, what I saw was I saw her kick him from behind in that video you just showed me when he was kneeling on the ground. And then,
with all due respect, sir.
And then also, of course, you know, she's trespassing herself.
True, she is trespassing. But with all due respect, because I have heard, at least I believe Kathy Frazier also mentioned that she had kicked the guard. But in this frame here, if you take it frame by frame, you actually do see that the woman is walking up, and the guard does a back side sweep and nearly trips the woman.
And then she kicks him.
I don't quite see that.
Anyway, you know, here's the.
I'm just wondering.
In all honesty, Nathan, this is something that is a matter for law enforcement. It's being looked into by law enforcement. It's being investigated by law enforcement, and you know they have all the tools available to them with which to do that. I've seen, you know, there were numerous cameras there, and I imagine not all of them or the unedited, you know, footage of it has been seen by everybody, which would indicate the whole thing. But the point is that if you want to get into breaking down and taking it on a moment by moment basis, that's fine. That's where you get into law enforcement. I'm speaking of the larger picture. You have 2 individuals who have trespassed. They've been properly and adequately warned that they've trespassed. They've been asked to leave. They refused to leave. One of the individuals was arrested. The other woman could have rightly been arrested then as well because she was trespassing. So, and these are individuals who are professed members of a group that has stated its intent to destroy the Church of Scientology. So we have to take adequate measures to just ensure the protection of our parishioners and our staff.
One other picture that seems to be getting a lot of traction, at least on the internet, especially at Golden Era, are the pictures taken near the gates of some of the posts near the fencing, you can see the sign for the Golden Era Productions right there. That's the main gate. And what was gaining a lot of traction and people were wondering is the spikes. The spikes